everyone. I hope you guys are doing well and you can hear me this time. I was on mute during the last live stream. Can you hear me, May?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks so much for joining. I'm super excited to have you, May, on the live stream today. And for everyone who's joining, listening to the live or to the replay. And so I want to introduce everyone to my amazing friend here, May Fekete. May is just just doing such incredible work, and the whole goal of this live stream, Mental Back Roads and Highways, is to interview incredible leaders who are trailblazing and pioneering for a better tomorrow in our homes, community, and globally. And this live stream is part of the Two Mamas to Love platform and focuses on different topics that I discuss in my upcoming book, Two Mamas to Love: Pioneering a New Kind of Motherhood. And May is a nurse practitioner, and I am so excited to have a nurse practitioner colleague with me today. She has over 25 years of experience in the healthcare industry, and she is also a health coach. She is trained in the traditional allopathic medicine model. However, she also has training in functional medicine. May believes we all have the ability to heal our bodies once we figure out the root cause of the problem. One of the ways May has healed her body is through the tool of fasting. She has been fasting for health and healing for over 6 years, and it has become her passion. Born from this passion, May started May Fekete Health and Wellness to teach others how to fast properly for disease reversal and or prevention, weight loss, peri and menopausal symptoms, as well as increasing longevity and general health and wellness. So thank you so much for being with us today, May. It's an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. Well, tell us about yourself and your mission, May.
Yeah, so like you said, I am a registered nurse, but I've been a nurse practitioner for about 5 years now. I've actually been in the nursing field since 1998, so I can't believe it's about 27 years now. So just this is my passion, this is what I love, and I am a mom of twin boys. They just turned 15, so they keep me busy and just on my toes at all times. I'm a military spouse, so we've had the pleasure of living in several states across the United States. So that's always been really wonderful experience. And like I said, I've been an MP for 5 years now, and I just love it. And I started fasting myself. Actually, it's going on 8 years now. And so the time has been going by very quickly. And I've just learned so much about it and just want to just educate people on it.
Oh, that's amazing. I really just find fasting so fascinating and your work so just interesting. And we've done podcasts and as well as summits before, and I just learn so much every time I talk with you about it. Can you tell our listeners a bit more about fasting, like what the history of it is, like what your story was with it, or whatever you'd like to share? If they don't know, I feel like it's becoming more mainstream, but still there's just a lot we don't know or quite understand about fasting.
Yeah, great question. So it is really becoming a lot more popular these days, and a lot of people tend to think that it's this new fad, where in fact it's really not a fad at all. If you look back at our primal ancestors, they were fasting because food was not accessible like it is these days. You know, we have food and food noise all around us all the time, and so back in the primal days, people were going out and they were going hunting, and if they found a kill, then they would eat for a couple of days, so they would feast. And when that ran out, then they were fasting for a couple of days. And obviously, you know, we survived, and it's just kind of been part of the cultural scene. You know, there's a lot of different cultures that do fasting for religious purposes too. And now it's just becoming more popular. And I think that has to do a lot with just getting out of this pandemic. I think that really opened everyone's eyes to you and your health. And you have the power to change your health. And you have to really do something about it. Because I think if one thing was taught was that we are in the United States metabolically unhealthy. Most people are. So there's a lot that you can do. Fasting is one thing that anyone can pretty much do. There's a couple of people that I wouldn't recommend it to, but most people can do it, and it has such an impact on your life. And people just need to learn how to do it correctly. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and as long as you learn how to do it correctly, the benefits are just amazing, you know. So that's my mission, really, to educate people on fasting, on what they can do. And I always say, you know, become the CEO of your health. You're the one who has to have that control. You know, you can work with your providers, but it's ultimately up to you.
Absolutely. Well, and how you say the CEO, I remember when we did our podcast, gosh, I think it was almost like 18 months ago now. You were one of my
Mhm.
first guests, which was so
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And I titled the episode Becoming CEO of Your Body. And because I love the way you talk about that and how we have agency and we are able to, you know, just to be exactly that. And I just love that message that you're spreading.
Yeah, thank you. I think more people just need to understand that they do have that power, you know, and just letting giving people the tools and letting them be their own advocates is just huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what are the benefits of fasting?
So there are so many benefits. I mean, between weight loss, you have blood glucose control, you can reverse some conditions. There is cancer prevention. That's a big thing. And that's actually how I got into fasting in the first place, because I was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2016. And I was going to a naturopathic doctor at that time because I knew there was something more than just conventional treatments available. So she said, and I will never forget this, the single best thing that you can do for your health is to learn how to fast. She
Hmm.
said you can do all these other things and they will help, but fasting has that much of an impact. And I started to do it and I started to learn all the benefits of it. And I have been amazed. I think it's such an incredible tool that is so underutilized. And there's so many issues these days, like we were talking about metabolic health, and you know, cancer being a metabolic disease. If you fix your metabolic health, you can reverse a lot of these conditions that we're suffering with these days. So that is my story, and like I said, I've been doing it ever since, and we're going on 9 years now that I've been a breast cancer thriver. I call it thriver because, you know, I'm not just surviving, I'm out here thriving. And I think there is a difference between the two, but just this is my passion, this is what I was meant to do, and I'm enjoying it.
Hmm. That's an amazing story, and I love that you say thriver. I love that wording and
Yeah.
thriving. And I find this all so interesting. Now, what is like going back to like fasting itself? What is considered fasting? Like, how many hours would you say between meals is that? I mean, I know that there's like specific, and then there's different types of fasting, like intermittent fasting versus other
Mhm.
types. Can you just like briefly break down that for us?
Yeah, well, some people will consider 12 or 13 hours fasting, and I consider it more of a digestive rest. So, again, with all the food noise and the accessibility to food, we really are not giving our bodies that time to just heal and be without food. So, 12 to 13 hours, I consider digestive rest. Anytime after that, the more popular one is intermittent fasting, which is you're fasting for 16 hours and you're feasting for 8 hours. And they all have different benefits. You know, the 36-hour fast, actually, let me back up. 24-hour fast, which is one of my favorites, I do that once a week, is great for gut health. And we know that disease is linked to your gut state. So you want to hear your gut. 24-hour fast, it's pretty simple to do. Most people can do it. 36-hour fast is really the fat loss one. And then when you go up from there, 48-hour fast is good to increase your dopamine receptors. So I mean, who doesn't need that, you know? And the 72-hour fast is just a granddaddy of fast, and it can actually reverse so many conditions, even old injuries, and kind of like reset your immune system. It's super, super powerful. And it's something that there is so much science behind it. If you start to look at the research, there is a lot of science behind it, and it really does work. And so I tell my people, if you've never fasted before, to start with those 13 or 12 or 13 hours of digestive rest and go from there. And, even in the cancer world, in the breast cancer world specifically, and I've done a lot of research on this just because it pertains to me. There was a study that was done a few years ago where they took a large population of breast cancer survivors that had gone through traditional treatment, and they just fasted for 13 hours each night and decreased their recurrence by about 40%, which is pretty significant. When you're talking about just withholding food, not doing any kind of medical management. So that's super important. And there's a lot of other scientific literature out there that shows the benefits of it and different ways that you can do it. It kind of depends on your goal. But if you really want to put a dent in your health and really make a difference, you want to kind of do that autophagy fasting, which is the 72 hours. And you can also do the 5-day fasting mimicking program, which also is equivalent to a 3-day water fast.
Huh. That's so interesting. I always learn so much on all of that. And so with people, I mean, I think, obviously, talk to your healthcare provider if it's something that you are interested in doing or learning about. I mean, everyone's individual, but it's very interesting to know that this is such a just old thing that has been done for thousands of years, that I think is just so fascinating that we now are seeing its benefits that we for the longest time just didn't really realize there were benefits too, which I think is so interesting.
Right. And I think, there's more information coming out that people are doing all kinds of studies, and it's cool. It's so beneficial,
Now, where can we learn more about what you're doing? We have on the banner here, your Instagram page. And do you have information about just different types of fasts, what you do, and education on there, as well as I think you also have a Facebook group too, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah, I do. Most of my work is on Instagram. I have to be a little bit more present on there, but I do a lot of videos and kind of teach people about how to start incorporating this fasting lifestyle, because that's the one thing that I really want people to understand, that you don't just do a fast once or twice and expect that it's going to miraculously, change your health. And it does have an impact, but you have to be consistent with it. So I like to educate people on that. And I will do certain videos on there. Lately, I've been talking a lot about the fasting mimicking program, only because that is what I transitioned to about 2 or 3 years ago now. I was doing just traditional water fasting, and the 72-hour fast was really what I focused on because of the autophagy and getting rid of those zombie cells, as they call them. So when I learned about the fasting mimicking program, I really was intrigued, and I was actually skeptical at first, but once I started to do some more research, talk to some colleagues, and actually do it on myself, I realized that this is a smarter way of fasting. And I know there's still people out there that are kind of in that school of thought, like I was, you can't possibly fast with food, but they have created this program where you're actually tricking your body into thinking that it's fasting when you're actually eating a very, very small amount of calories. So you're actually giving your body the nutrients, the electrolytes, and everything that it needs to kind of facilitate that fasting and minimize the side effects and get the benefits of the 72-hour fast. So you complete the 5 days, you get the full autophagy as long as you stick to the program. It's relatively foolproof. It comes in a kit and it tells you what you need to do, and everything is in there. And we do coaching. We do free coaching for anyone that wants to do it. And we have a lot of support. I am pretty big on the fascination Facebook page, and I'm usually on there pretty much every day answering people's questions and just kind of helping people out.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah.
And I think it's so interesting, just how there's so many, I don't know what the right word would be, but like frontiers of the body still that we are
Mhm.
exploring. Like I talk a lot about mental health and all those type of things and the brain and neuroscience. And then we talk about like the gut microbiome and how that's all related. And it's just so incredible. And I love how you're a medical expert in doing that because I think there is so much fluff out there, maybe, is, I don't know if
Mhm.
that's the right word, but like just there's so much noise maybe. And I like that you are, you have this background and you are an educator as well, so you can help people learn more about this and learn the benefits and of what may be right or for you, and to encourage everyone to work with their healthcare provider, work with their individualized approach, but also know that there's all these interesting things out there.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I've considered myself blessed that I was introduced to this when I was, and it was, as a result of getting this horrible diagnosis.
Yeah,
I would have never been here had it not been for that. So I do consider myself blessed in so many ways, and just to be able to help people, is amazing, because that's what I was meant to do. I'm an educator. We're nurses, and we're always there to educate people.
I love that. I love that. And May, I'm going to put in the show notes the link to our podcast that we did a while ago. I mean, I've evolved my podcast, so I'm not sure how I'm talking. I may have a bunch of tangents. I try not to have as many tangents on the live streams, but on the podcast, I know sometimes I do. But I remember, like you just shared such a wealth of information. So I'll make sure people will go back to that oldie but goodie of an episode, because
Mhm.
I just love hearing more about this, as well as, May, can you just briefly share with us? I think it's so powerful. You talked about like your journey in Alaska, and I kind of remember you saying like it was just almost like a transitional time for you. And can you share with us a bit about that if you're comfortable with it?
Yeah, definitely. So it was definitely an eye opener. So when we left Alabama to drive up to Alaska, I had some issues with kind of like a painful area under my left axilla. And I had gone to the doctor, and she said, I don't think it's anything concerning, but you do have this lump here, and it was very painful. And cancer is not supposed to be painful. So being a nurse, I knew that that was the case, and I said, there's no way I can have it. I'm 40. I was 41 at that time, triathlete, in great shape, no family history whatsoever. So we took this journey to Alaska, and we were stationed there. And when we got there, I went and had it checked out. And even the radiologist that was doing my biopsy said, I think this is fatty necrotic tissue. I don't think it's anything bad. So, but let's just see. And he was kind of shocked, as we all were, when the pathology came back and it wasn't. So from there, I instantly was just, my world was just turned upside down. And I was like that for about 3 days. I know my husband was kind of the same way. He was just devastated. And I did that for 3 days. And I said, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to survive this, because I have two young children. They were 6 years old at that time. And I said, it's not fair to them to lose their mother. So I have to do what I need to do to survive this. And number two, this came to me for a reason, and the reason was to help other people going through the same journey. And so that place just, at first there was so much fear, and I just wanted to get out of there. But then I realized, this is the place that I needed to be for my healing. And it was like a transformation. It's almost like, the cocoon and the butterfly, and I learned so much about just the diagnosis. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about natural healing, and it was just a pivotal time in my life. So something that I'm just, so thankful and grateful that we had that opportunity.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. I am so thankful, and so it is those times, that transformative times in our lives. I feel like that
Mhm.
then, like, open your eyes to what do you want to do with that time in your life that was so challenging, and how to help others and spread
Mhm.
awareness. And you're in Alabama still now, right? Is that right? You're not.
Yes, now we're back in Alabama.
Okay. Okay. Nice
Mhm.
weather now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's we went from winter to now summer. It's about 90 degrees and humid. So
Yeah. Well, anyone who's listening to the live or to the replay, thank you so much for joining in. Be sure to check out everything that May does on Instagram as well as on Facebook. And May, is there anything as we wrap up here that you would like to leave with us?
I just want everyone, again, like we started off talking about, being the CEO of your own health. There's definitely so much, and I think fluff is a good word out there, but you do have the power to change your health, and it's not anything that's woohoo or anything like that. There are a lot of things that you can do naturally to help yourself and to become better metabolic, or have better metabolic health. So just to encourage people, and again to have encourage them to become their own advocates, really is the big thing. And then from there, there's so much that you can learn. So I just encourage everyone to do that.
Hmm. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I completely agree. And thank you for everyone who is making comments, coming in. It says LinkedIn user on here, but thank you so much, LinkedIn user, for your topic here. I'll read it off. Thank you for this incredible session, May. The topic of fasting is very intriguing. All of the benefits that you spoke about, the beautiful story at the end. I cannot wait to follow your journey and continue to learn from you on your social platforms. Oh, and thank you so
Oh,
much.
sweet.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes,
You're
everyone
great.
on here, I love you guys, and May is like, she's been just amazing support. I just love everything that you're doing too, and we're helping each other out and lifting each other up, and I think it's so important and such an important message to again, that really is, I think, what the takeaway is, that CEO of your own body and like becoming
Mhm.
that advocate for yourself. And I think that's so important. So thank
Yeah,
you again.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you. Well, have a good rest of your day. And thanks again. And thank you to everyone who joined in, Andrew, Jackie, LinkedIn user. Thank you so much.
Take care, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.